Well, none of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Children have to go back to the roots, yeah. None of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Children have to go back to the roots. I'm telling you now, the truth. Telling you, yeah, the truth, the truth. You have to go back to the roots, the roots. Go to the roots, to the roots. Yeah, man, you know, this is Benjamin out of the Smiling Coast, West Africa, Gambia, representing for the one and only Abu, the big man you don't know, the Soninke warrior, the man that brings the truth, Soninke warrior, the sign of enlightenment, the Soninke warrior, the righteous and the true African. Abu, reveal the truth to them, you know, no matter how them try run from it, because none of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Yes, we have to dig back the roots, yeah. Fire!
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Afridamus Report. I'm your host, Afridamus. As you guys know how we do it here every weekend, we pick a topic, a location, we bring videos, and we analyze it. I want to welcome all of you in the house, all the deaconesses, the deacons, members of the congregation. I want to welcome all of you here. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel as you're coming in, because you know when you give it a thumbs up or thumbs down, it spreads the message to the other masses. So today we're going to talk about Africa, but not Africa as a country like some of you like to believe. You know, we've talked about Pan-Africanists, you know, and their fantasy about Africa, for instance, the countries in Africa. But there is a side of Africa that people don't know about. Because, you know, there is Hitlers of Africa on that continent. Did you guys know that the Rwandan genocide wasn't the only genocide? The first genocide in Africa happened by the hands of the Hitler of Africa. You've heard of North Korea. You would think that North Korea is the only place that exists. No, we have a North Korea inside of Africa. But you see, the Pan-Africanists don't know this. People don't do research. They don't go out looking for answers. But today, I'm going to bring you the answers and the receipts. We are going to go all the way to Equatorial Guinea, a beautiful country, oil-rich country. But we're going to go into the history of Equatorial Guinea so that we know what the inner workings are like in Equatorial Guinea. Who is in charge of Equatorial Guinea? What is the governance system in that country? Because during my research, as soon as I checked corrupt leaders in Africa, the first picture that stood out to me was the leader of Equatorial Guinea. He has a son who is the vice president of that country. And I want you to know that those of you that are colorblind, because you like to say, oh, black people are peaceful, Africans would never do this to each other. The things I'm going to cover here today is going to be shocking to most of you. Finding out that Hitler of Europe is not the only Hitler that existed. Pol Pot of Cambodia, this what happened in Equatorial Guinea would make all those people look like children. But this is not to blame the people of Equatorial Guinea. In fact, they are the victims of all this. So when we talk about Pan-Africanism, this is the true Pan-Africanism, where we open people's eyes to the realities of life. Evil doesn't have color, just so you know. It exists in every color. But I have several footages for you guys here today. We'll be talking about the Obiangs. Obiang, the president, this is the last name, of Equatorial Guinea. He's been in power since 1979. He outstepped his uncle, whom I'm going to introduce you guys to today. He outstepped his uncle, who was eventually killed in a firing squad. And ladies and gentlemen, those of you that's been attending the show, in these videos here, you would, if just pay close attention, you would find out that a lot of things I've been talking about here for the last few days, the black magic, witchcraft, all that, you're going to hear all of that here today. Because you see, in the beginning, it's a drip, drip, drip. But then everything comes in full circle. You see it for yourself. And thank you all for coming. But you guys know, I don't want to waste your time. I want to go straight into the show here. But I can never start the show without allowing the church choir to introduce us to the various characters that are going to be exhibited in front of you here today. So I'll bring you the church choir and then we'll go from there. Ladies and gentlemen, so those are the characters that are going to be introduced here today. But I'm going to show you a video of how all this began. Equatorial Guinea is the only African nation colonized by the Spanish. So they speak Spanish. So I am going to introduce you to their first president. I want you guys to meet this man.
It is said that when he was 9 years old, Francisco Marcias witnessed his father being beaten to death by a Spanish colonial officer. On the day after his father's murder, his grieving mother, in despair, committed suicide. It is possible that the cruel events in his early childhood shaped his personality and gave him his will. Welcome to today's episode of African Biographics. In this episode, we profile Francisco Macias Nguema from the Equatorial Guinea, who is arguably one of the worst and most brutal dictators any African nation has ever seen. He makes Idi Amin and Jean Bidot Bokassa look like amateurs when it comes to brutality and the destruction of economies. Macias Nguema was the first president of independent Equatorial Guinea, a country that was a Spanish colony. Under Macias Nguema's dictatorship, tens of thousands of citizens were forced to flee in fear of persecution as well as to protect their personal safety. About one-third of the population was either exiled or murdered by his government. He only left office after he was deposed by his nephew Teodoro Nguema Basong in 1979. In this video, we take a look at some of the atrocities and bizarre policies of Francisco Macias Nguema. If you're new to this channel, don't be shy to press the subscription button and the notifications bell so that you don't miss out on any new uploads that come out every Monday and Friday. Francisco Macias Nguema was born in 1924 in Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea had been the only Spanish colony in sub-Saharan Africa and was made up of two parts, Rio Muni on the mainland of Africa and Fernando Po, a volcanic island of the Cameroonian coast. It is said that when he was 9 years old, Francisco Macias witnessed his father being beaten to death by a Spanish colonial officer. On the day after his father's murder, his grieving mother,
Francisco's father was a witch doctor, by the way,
in despair, committed suicide. It is possible that the cruel events in his early childhood shaped his personality and gave him his willpower and his instinctive taste for violence and brutality. Macias Nguema would go on to fail the civil service exam 3 times. This would be one of the reasons why he developed an inferiority complex that turned to a hatred of intellectuals. He later rose to the position of mayor of his hometown Mongomo under the Spanish colonial government and later served as a member of the territorial parliament. In 1964, he was named the Deputy Prime Minister of the Autonomous Transition Government. In the late 1960s, Spain came under much pressure to relinquish its sole colony in sub-Saharan Africa. In the first and only true democratic election in Equatorial Guinea, Francisco Macias Nguema, an obscure civil servant with a talent for saying what his audience wanted to hear, positioned himself as a leading nationalist and defeated.
he has a talent for telling the audience what they want to hear. Pay attention to that, people. Where else do you hear this?
A better qualified candidate who was advocating for maintaining links with Spain. The man whom he beat was Bonifacio Ondo Edu. Ondo Edu briefly went into exile in Gabon and was officially reported to have committed suicide on the 5th of March 1969. Although it is reported that Edu was actually executed soon after his return on trumped-up charges of having been planning a coup against Francisco Macias. As early as 1969, Macias Nguema unleashed a campaign to persecute his political opponents who were arrested with their goods being looted and extorted. A fierce political repression was implemented. There was a militia by the name of Youth.
He was the first original gangster in that country. He robs people, he steals from them, he beats them. I mean, this guy, he does it all. I mean, you think you've heard enough? Wait till you hear the rest of this. It would blow your mind.
On the March with Macias, which was responsible for numerous atrocities, including massacre of civilian population, torture, looting and burning of villages. His thugs killed Nigerian immigrant workers in the cocoa plantations who demanded higher wages, and his thugs also badly beat up members of Nigeria's diplomatic mission in the capital, Malabo.
Did you hear that? So there were Nigerian workers in Equatorial Guinea back in those days in the cocoa plants. So, you know, the Nigerians demanded higher pay. Nguema is like, you know what? I cannot put up with this. He killed all of them. And the Nigerian diplomats, made, beef about it. He beat up every single one of them. That's what they're telling you. So I'm telling you, this is not about color. I want you guys to see people for people. Evil comes in every color. Every color. And if we continue to hide it, how are we gonna know what happened to actual African people? We're gonna just keep pointing, fingers at other people. But in all honesty, we have African Hitlers and Nguema is one of them. You are going to find out.
On the 7th of May 1971, Marcius Nguema issued a decree which repealed parts of the 1968 Constitution and granted him all powers of government and other institutions, including powers formerly held by the legislative and judiciary branches, as well as the Cabinet of Ministers. That same year, he passed a law that imposed the death penalty as punishment for threatening the president or the government. Insulting or offending the president or his cabinet was punishable by 30 years.
Yes, Audrey, he killed Nigerians, beat up the diplomats. Hey, did you guys hear that? He passed laws, like anyone that insults the president, i.e., anyone that opposes him, you would be killed. And this guy, he just keeps giving himself more and more power. So this is the side of Africa you guys don't know. You just say, oh, it's just, it's my country. It's my country. But let's find out what is in my country.
In prison. In 1972, a presidential decree merged all existing political parties into his party, the United National Party, with Marcius Nguema as the president for life of both the nation and the party. He also acted as the chief judge who sentenced thousands to death.
Dude, this guy, he declared himself president for life, like in North Korea. And he merged every political party to bring them under, his rule, and made himself their leader. So it's like, hey, you show up, you're like, all right, check this out. I know you guys have opinions whatsoever, but how about this? You join in my political party, and you have no option. So I'm the leader, president for life, i.e. king. So if you guys remember, in the chat yesterday, Fang was writing that these people are hard workers. She was promoting the king idea. But let's find out this type of idea that she was promoting. Let's see what that brought to, her people.
The government and the economy became a family affair, with most of the ministers coming from the same village. His nephew Teodoro was appointed as the head of the National Guard. Marcius Nguema declared himself the Grand Master of Science, Education and Culture and launched a purge against intellectuals.
So mind you, this guy have always, as you guys see, this guy fails his exams. But when he became president, now he's appointing himself, the Grand Master of Science, Education and Culture. So these are the type of things that happens in Africa. Talk about a hood. Now I see why Feng, have so much beef against Black Americans, because if a Puki Orere can take over the hood, this is how they would run it. They would shut down intellectuals and anyone that's smart. Even the word intellectual, he banned it.
He claimed that the educated classes were polluting the climate with foreign culture. He killed or exiled nearly all the educated people in the country and banned the use of the word intellectual. He declared private education subversive and banned it. Before long, he had killed everyone who wore spectacles, a sure sign in his peculiar opinion of superior educational accomplishment. His persecution against intellectuals drained the educated class out of the country. Under Marcius Nguema, one particularly infamous incident of mass murder occurred on Christmas Eve of 1969 when 150 political prisoners were lined up and shot in the stadium by security forces wearing Santa Claus costumes while the loudspeakers played the Mary Hopkins song, "Those Were the Days, My Friend." In the same setting, 36 others were told to dig a ditch in which they were subsequently buried up to.
Yes, African Caribbean. He wants everybody to be like him. Does that remind you of anyone? Did you guys hear what he did? He lined up his political opponents in the stadium and brought his soldiers dressed up in Santa Claus costume while blaring Mary Lopkin music. So when you guys hear certain things, you have to hear the sound of dictatorship. Does this guy remind you guys of anything? Let's keep going.
to their necks and left to be eaten by red ants. As his jealousy and paranoia grew, he ordered the execution of all former lovers of his mistresses, as well as the husbands of the women he coveted. On the economic front,
check this out. This guy, right? Did you guys hear that? This guy ordered the killing of all, like, let's say, if you dated his current girl he likes right now or he's with, let's say you dated that person 10 years ago, he killed you for even dating her in the future. That's no joke. So this is the side you guys don't know about. But today we're learning. I hope you have your popcorn, your tea, chai, cold water, whatever. But make sure you're sitting down, relaxing, because today we're having a great show here, educational. And, yeah, it's sad, but it happened. It did.
Equatorial Guinea had neither a developmental plan nor an accounting system for public funds. Marcius Nguema killed the governor of the central bank and carried whatever remained in the national treasury to his rural village house. His behavior became increasingly erratic as his rule progressed, and he used his knowledge of traditional witchcraft to bolster his legitimacy. And
did you guys hear that? So some people, when I talked about the witchcraft, to say they believe in these African leaders, they use it. Now you hear it. And this is not only Africa, by the way, but you cannot speak of Africa without talking about witchcraft and black magic. So he used witchcraft because his dad was a witchcraft, so some Spanish, from Spain, white Spanish, they used to colonize the country. So I don't know, maybe his jujus failed him and the Spanish colonialists beat his father to death. And his mother became depressed, committed suicide. He witnessed this at 9. So that, completely turned him bitter. And he just want to destroy anything in his path. Make sure you hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the like. Let's spread the message.
Terrified the population into submission. He had fishing boats burned and roads mined to prevent escape. The economy ground to a halt and 90% of the public services, including electricity, power, mail, and transport, came to a standstill. The cocoa and fishing industries that had sustained the economy ceased. He banned Western medicine, claiming it to be un-African. Francisco Marcius Nguema was eventually deposed on the 3rd of August 1979 by his nephew Teodoro Nguema Basong in what was described as a case of execute lest thou be executed. Teodoro, the head of the National Guard, was compelled to take that step because of an earlier incident in 1979. 6 members of the National Guard had gone to Nguema in Mongomo to ask for money to pay the men and the officers of the National Guard who had not been paid for some time.
If you notice, you would find out Nguema is somebody who he just hates people that, ask him to pay them for working for him or asking for pay raise. You remember in the beginning, in the video, he killed the Nigerian workers for asking for a raise. Watch how he's going to deal with his own soldiers for asking. They're not even asking for a raise. They just want to get paid. Check this out.
According to the Telegraph, the 6 men were executed after this meeting, forcing Teodoro to stage a coup as a form of defense and seized power in 1979. Marcius Nguema, who was arrested in his home village, would eventually be tried and executed on September 29, 1979. The total number of deaths attributed to the Marcius regime during its 11-year reign generally ranges from 20,000 to 50,000. During the Special Military Tribunal, Marcius was initially indicted for 80,000 murders, although he was later found guilty for 500. The figure of 80,000 corresponds to the estimates of murders cited by exiles who were interviewed in Madrid after Marcius's fall. Other sources have placed the number as high as 100,000, approximately 1/3 of the country's population. Some observers have said that Marcius Nguema may have been a psychopath, a disorder.
So you guys heard that? This guy killed 1/3 of the population. He was indicted for 80,000 murders, found guilty for 500, but deaths as high as 100,000, which was 1/3 of the country's population. So this guy was the Hitler of that country. So this is how things work in some of the African countries. You have psychopathic leaders, and the people are the victims. But when people start talking Pan-Africanism, this is the parts they fail to realize that, no such thing as, white supremacy for the African. The African's white supremacy is this guy you're looking at, to be specific, Equatorial Guinea. Yeah, he killed almost 1/3 of his own people, all from paranoia and jealousy.
Potentially enabled in part by reported childhood psychological trauma, and that his behavior could have been affected by other possible mental illnesses, as well as his reported periodic use of large quantities of cannabis. But one thing for sure is that Francisco Macia's rule was a very dark chapter in the history of Equatorial Guinea. Let me know in the comment section below.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard that, right? So I'm gonna play a short little clip of Teodoro, the current president there, back in 1979 when he took power. They were interviewing him. It's just a short little clip. They're going to be talking in Spanish because in Equatorial Guinea, that's the language they speak, Spanish.
Teodoro Obiang Nguema. ¿Cuál es la situación actual en Guinea Ecuatorial?
La situación actual de toda la nación es completamente tranquila porque han sido dominados los últimos focos de resistencia.
So yeah, that's Teodoro, the current president back in 1979. So as you know, the only person that ever, ran for election and won turned out to be a psychopathic killer. But now let's go into the current state of the country, how this guy, the nephew, he turned out. But before we get there, I'm going to show you a little clip of when this man, Nguema, this man was taken to court back in 1979. Check this out. In fact, they sentenced him to death, right? They had to hire, Moroccan, mercenaries to come and, shoot him because the people were afraid of, quote unquote, his superpower, his witchcraft. That's how much hold he had over them. But here is his, court case. I'll show you.
Señoras y caballeros, en estos momentos defensores, hoy día 24 de septiembre de 1979 procedemos a este gran.
So this is the guy that was killing everyone. So this is his court case back in 79. They brought him in.
Un acto importante que los medios informativos nacionales ofrecen a cuatro vientos esta fecha histórica. Pasamos los micrófonos al locutor en lengua franca. Bojan, haz whenever. Trust your ugly.
Contra el expresidente de la República,
This is Equatorial Guinea back in 1979. So yeah, just as you can see there, that's the history, a brief history of Equatorial Guinea. But now let's look at the current state of Equatorial Guinea. You know, the country is very rich in oil, very, very rich in oil. So yes, the per capita has the potential based on their population to be as high as what Fang was writing, because they do, it's a powerhouse. But now, yes, the per capita is high, but that doesn't benefit the people. It only benefits a few people. So the current president, his son is the vice president of Equatorial Guinea. You know, over there, it seems like they do family business, because the current president, he killed, you know, the person that he ousted, the Santa Claus guy who was killing everyone. You know, the current president, that's his uncle. And now the father did the same thing. You know, the current president, he's doing family business. His son is the vice president. This son is an Instagram model. He's not only a vice president, he's an Instagram model. Let me give you a taste of how, you know, this guy lives his life. In fact, they call him the playboy, playboy of Instagram. Check this out.
A small country in West Africa with a lot of oil. Theodore. Meet one of Instagram's most famous playboys. He tours the world driving fast cars and eating at the world's finest restaurants. He even gets hip-hop stars like Wyclef Jean to play at his lavish parties, posting his exploits on his Instagram account under the name Teddy Ngema. But this isn't your typical Instagram star. He's the vice president of a country. Equatorial Guinea, a small country in West Africa with a lot of oil. Teodoro Ngema Obiang is the second most powerful man in the country. His father is the world's longest-serving president, Teodoro Obiang Ngema. The Obiang family has amassed a fortune running into the hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yes.
But how have they made their money? Equatorial Guinea has some of the most opaque national accounts in the world. Per head, it is the richest country in Africa, yet people live in plastic shack poverty. The most recent figures available from the World Bank suggest that 3/4 of the population live below the poverty line. But the presidential family seem oblivious to the poverty.
Pobreza.
Una cosa, tampoco no hay pobreza.
No.
Oh, sorry, guys. Can you guys hear me now? I didn't put myself on. Can you guys hear me now? Oh, sorry. I made a rookie mistake. But what I was saying is, if you look at it, the crazy psychopathic uncle that paved the way for the current president, at the time, they didn't have oil. They didn't have that much wealth, but he was robbing, plundering, killing everyone. But now, you know, they are on top. They got oil, they got the money, but look at how they are living. Yes, Audrey, you're right. 3/4 live in poverty. 3/4 of the country, when they have so much. You see how the the president's son is leaving. You haven't even seen anything yet. This will blow your mind.
Pobreza.
No.
If the country is so wealthy, where is all the money going?
I sometimes refer to Equatorial Guinea as the North Korea of Africa. There are no freedoms. Today, Equatorial Guinea has the widest gap between GDP per capita, or income per capita, and Human Development Index, access to healthcare, access to water, access to education.
Tutu Alicante is a lawyer from Equatorial Guinea who is in exile in the United States. He runs an organization that is trying to tackle corruption in his homeland.
It is extremely dangerous for people in my country to speak their mind about anything the government deems political.
He knows firsthand how the massive theft of public money has left little behind to fund public services.
In Equatorial Guinea, going to a hospital is in fact signing your own death sentence. My sister had a complication with a pregnancy.
Did you guys hear that? So they have so much money, so much oil money. But, you know, third of the more people live in poverty than anywhere. Going to the hospital, it's like signing your own death warrant. While their vice president is busy being an Instagram playboy. So this is not a you know, like trying to say taking a shot at anyone, but you see even one of their citizens who's a lawyer, who's concerned about their people, they are fighting against what is happening in that country. So it behooves me if anyone who is from that country even remotely support this, or to say, oh, we have Jammeh there. That's not a compliment. Do you know, we want Jammeh, like the Gambian people, we want him back so he will be prosecuted. But he's hiding, you know, in Equatorial Guinea with the president who doesn't believe in real justice, because he's living the same way. Because when Jammeh was in power, same thing. He plundered, steal, but not to these people's level, because these people have way more money than he does. Let's find out.
And she died at the hospital, bled to death because there was no doctor in sight.
While most of the population live in squalid conditions, Teddy splashes the cash, showing off his wealth on his Instagram account. Often using the hashtag luxury living, he reveals a life of privilege and excess. Court papers say he amassed around $300 million worldwide between 2000 and 2011, despite earning an official government salary of less than $100,000 a year. The Department of Justice alleged that Teddy embezzled millions of dollars from the public purse as cabinet minister.
They discovered, for instance, that he had purchased multi-million-dollar private jet, a mansion in Malibu, and then the luxury cars.
The Department of Justice agreed a settlement of around $30 million with Teddy. This year, Teddy has found himself on trial again, this time in a separate case in France, charged with embezzlement and money laundering. After being unsuccessful in claiming diplomatic immunity, he failed to show up to any of the court hearings. Instead,
and you know, in these court cases, that when they take, you know, people like him to court, you know, why would the Europeans be taking this guy to court? Do you think they're trying to, you know, give that money back to the poor people? No. If they're fighting this hard, you know, they are using some type of their own law to take that money back from him. Exactly. No wonder him and Jammeh are best friends, because they have the same character. So, yeah, let's see if he's going to show up to court.
Instead, he posted videos on Instagram of himself on safari near Victoria Falls. The French court valued his assets in France at around 100 million euros, including a large property bought for 25 million euros in Paris. The French public prosecutor has asked for a 3-year jail sentence, a €30 million fine, and all of Teddy's assets in France to be seized. The vice president denies the charges.
Okay, good.
The future for Equatorial Guinea looks bleak.
Did you guys hear that? The future of Equatorial Guinea is bleak. Like, yeah, you're right, Cass. If he bought the Michael Jackson memorabilia, the gloves, Amilcar, like you said, he bought the Batmobile. Like, literally, there are people are dying there in poverty. Mind you, this oil resource doesn't belong to them. It belongs to the country. So you cannot support dictators. Okay, places like Nigeria have oil too, right? But look at Nigeria's population. Nigeria is like 200 million plus. So it would be hard to sort of, say, oh, look at Nigeria. That's a bigger country. But this is a small country. And the wealth is, like literally, every one of them can receive up to $10,000 a month. Check, even without working. Did you guys know that the citizens of Equatorial Guinea, they could live like the Arabs in Saudi Arabia? Because the Arabs, they share the wealth with their people. If these people are willing to share the wealth, even their citizens who are not working, like Fang would be here doing videos getting $10,000 a month. But she don't know that. She's supporting these people who are stealing from her. She don't even know that. Oh, Audrey said, Fang is so proud of the fact that they were never enslaved. Who needs... Look, okay, do you understand? Like, that's just a delusion. This is worse than slavery. This is worse than slavery because it's still going. It's still ongoing. And the worst part is the same groups of people in the same country. So yeah, that's sad.
The president is aging and his son is preparing to take over.
This is someone that is more concerned about flushing his cash than governing.
The spendthrift strongmen of Equatorial Guinea are not the only presidential family in Africa who are under investigation for embezzling from the public purse. The presidents of Gabon and the Republic of Congo are also being investigated by judges in France. But Teddy's had a busy time of late, posting from the beaches of Brazil to the Great Wall of China. There are plenty of countries where regulators turn a blind eye to despots who want to hide their ill-gotten gains.
You guys see, this guy, he's about the life of partying. So if you look at it, who's going to talk about these things? Yes. Who's going to talk about it? We cannot just glorify them and just turn blind eye and start talking about things that do not matter. And if you notice around there, because like you guys know, Fang like to say, oh, Gabon, all of us are Fangs. But these Fang countries that she's claiming are Fangs, they seem to not want to share with the rest of the people. They amass so much wealth. If you look at it in West Africa, the only president that was more, up to their level of corruption was Sani Abacha of Nigeria. And even Sani Abacha, man, the Nigerians, you guys know they killed him, right? They killed him because of they didn't want to put up with that much corruption. So this guy, he's got so much. Yes, FBA Nigel, he's got the white Batmobile. he's saving, the people. So the only other president that's even close to their level in corruption, taking funds from their people in West Africa was Sani Abacha of Nigeria. Even Sani Abacha, the Nigerians, they could not put up with his level of corruption. They had to kill him. You guys know they killed him, right? Because in West Africa, they don't play that. You know, Jammeh, this is why they gave refuge to Jammeh. So to say, oh, we have Jammeh over there, that's not, you know, a compliment. I'm like thinking to myself, like, okay, why don't you guys give him up? We're trying to have this guy go respond to the things that he did. But if you look at it, they gave Jammeh the option to pick what country he wanted to go to. And he picked Equatorial Guinea. So this dictator gave him, you know, his own farm because that's what he wants to do. Because if you look at it in the pictures, I put Jammeh there. You could see him working in a farm over there. Let's see. Some of you got jokes today. That motorcycle could feed like 50 villages. Man, it could feed probably more than that. It could probably feed more than that. That motorcycle costs a lot of money. It could feed more than 50 villages. But this guy doesn't care. He's about the life of party, bringing in strippers, rappers, buying memorabilia. You know, he's an Instagram playboy, as you guys can see. I mean, you can't make this up. You cannot make this up. So this is why it's good for us to talk about these things instead of, you know, wasting our time on useless things, trying to cater to people's feelings, you know, people trying to talk about things that's not productive to you, me, or the people that are victims right now. You know how people like to say on the internet, oh, Rwanda, the Rwandan genocide. Fine. This is between two groups. But imagine, you know how you hear about Hitler? The black Hitler. This man is in charge. Paranoid, killing his own people. So now his nephew that deposed him, he also has a iron grip on the country. He has an iron grip on the country. He doesn't allow anyone to move around, speak. They want to control your speech. There's no freedom in Equatorial Guinea. You guys know that, right? There is no freedom of speech. The way we are sitting here discussing things, that doesn't happen there. They have a thing like they have in North Korea. In North Korea, they say, dear leader. Because do you guys know you have to worship the people there? The first president in Ghana, the one I showed you, when he came to power, if you notice, he gave himself all these weird titles. Even though the guy failed his exams, but he made himself the grand master of their science department. He made himself judge. He made himself the chief of police. He made himself the leader of all the political parties, meaning president for life. Do you guys know? In fact, they didn't cover that. They did not cover that in the video that I showed you. But they did a referendum back then when the guy was alive, the first president. There was 2 boxes. So those who accept, like for instance, the way he did it, let's say, myself here, Afridamus, I'm like, okay, you guys are going to vote whether Afridamus would be the president for life or not. So like the fair thing to do is to put 2 boxes. Box A says yes or no. No. So for this guy, his name, next to his name, all the boxes are yes. So he won, hands down, like 100% of the vote. 100. So like you don't have a choice. So next to both of his name is only the yes box. And you're not allowed to create your own box. I mean, I know those people didn't even dare think about that because he would make them disappear. So he won 100% of the votes. In North Korea, it's the same thing. The election, 100% of the vote, the Kim Jong-uns win it all. No one gets to say anything. Let's hear more.
But their secrets are increasingly being leaked. And it helps if the autocrats themselves do the leaking via Instagram.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the African Fang said this is the most ridiculous, show. Ladies and gentlemen, are you guys enjoying this show? Let me know. And I know some of you have questions. You want to add your own ideas, your opinions of what you've seen so far. And I must say, the things that you've seen here, these are facts. These are real videos, real human beings. These are not my opinions. So if Fang, you're coming here saying I don't talk about Gambia, I do. I talk about everywhere. In this show, nobody has the power to control what we talk about. We talk about everything here. People here, how many of you have sat here week after week? You see me bringing you news from my African American brothers and cousins. I don't see Fang complaining. I don't see Fang getting upset. In fact, I think she brings her popcorn, her candy, her tea, and enjoy the show. So if I'm here helping today, bringing this information to everyone, why be upset? You don't know about my country. Okay, so I am going to drop the link, ladies and gentlemen. And I want you guys to come and share what you've heard so far. So I don't want to keep you waiting. The link is about to come. And please, let's keep it respectful, cordial, agree to disagree. But at the end of the day, we learn something. We learn something. It is not only the quote-unquote white supremacist who's enemy to the African. I've just dropped the link. Make sure you find your way in. And when you come in, please tell us your name and where you're calling from. And always, please remember, it is a dialogue between you and the host here, myself, Afridamus. Every now and again, it's okay for me to, cut you off and ask you certain questions or engage you in a conversation. I am not being rude by any means necessary, but I want the people to have a real conversation so that we understand one another. The link is in the chat right now. Fang, you're more than welcome to hit that link. Come here and, since you say, I don't know much about your country, you can come here and, let us know where we went wrong. But I do know one thing for sure. You have several monsters that took leadership in Africa. And you guys have seen the example today. And I'm going to touch on Idi Amin as well. Idi Amin, because you guys heard they already touched on him. But this guy in Equatorial Guinea made Idi Amin's deeds feel like a child's play. Seriously. And the things that I've uncovered, because I've always wondered why Jammeh wants to go there. Diogo said, Fang speaks about African Americans and has the audacity to tell us not to speak about her leader. Exactly. Exactly. In fact, I am here to help the people of Equatorial Guinea. Because the thing is, this country is isolated. Okay? They've isolated themselves. You guys realize they pretend and say, oh, we don't allow the white people to tell us what to do. But look at where the vice president spends his money at. He's got white women, women of all colors, just partying. He has no vision. There's no vision there. So when I saw exactly, we over there in the Gambia, we had a dictator named Jammeh, who also came to power through the barrel of a gun. When he took over, he plundered the little wealth the country had. But when he lost power, when he was given the option, because he had to negotiate where to go, mind you, there are bunch of other West African countries whom he shared the same exact culture as. Because us in Gambia, our culture with Equatorial Guinea, there's no similarities there. The languages are not similar at all. But why would he go over there? This has been the question I've always asked. Fang said, his country is poor. This is true. This is true. Yes, my country is poor. Just like Equatorial Guinea. Because what Equatorial Guinea has, if we had that much oil, even quarter of it, and we have a dictator that try to plunder it that way while people are dying, I'll be talking about that too. Not only talking, I would be making actions, because I cannot just kick back and watch something like that happen, or try to come here and pretend to say you're going to make your country look like what it isn't. Trying to tell people that they are welcome to your country, while in your country there is no freedom of speech. Telling people that your country is rich, but majority of the people are living in poverty. They don't have clean water. Going to the hospital is a death sentence. The people cannot think for themselves. They have to serve their dear leader. And he's old now. If he passes on, the throne is going to the palm-headed Instagram playboy. Did you guys notice that? He palms his head, puts the palm in. So this is not about to say, we're picking on somebody or not. It's just educational. Just like when I give the reports about, black people in America, white people or whoever, or when I talk about Gambian politics. Have you guys noticed in that video, right, when they were talking about Ngema? This guy, his father, like I said, his father was a witch doctor. So he learned from that. So when he was in power in their country, he used that same thing. But it's all a mental thing. In the Gambia, the same thing. There was a guy, man, I met him here in America. He's a Ivorian. He worked as a mechanic for Jammeh because, Jammeh, when he was in power, he ordered customized Humvees, pick up customized ones, bulletproof tout, remote controls, that, all the bells and whistles. But he also ordered his own mechanics from outside. These people are there specifically just to work on these Humvees. So he said one time, so this is the psychological, manipulation these dictators use. So they drive in convoys. So as they are driving in the middle of nowhere, he used his remote and shut the car off. Mind, his driver doesn't know this, because Gambian society is a superstitious society. So they stopped. But in reality, Jammeh needed to use the bathroom. He had to go do number 2. But they're in the middle of nowhere. But he's giving these people the belief that he communicates with, forces beyond. So shut the car off, because he has the remote. He can shut the car off and it would look like it died. So they're checking. He's like, I'll be back. So he walked into the bushes, and just for a while he acted like he was communicating with the outer forces. He came up, he's like, let me show you guys. Let me see. So in his pocket, he hid it. He started the car. But you see that the Ivorian mechanic, he's not a Gambian. This is why Jammeh brought him there, because he wants to fool the Gambian people themselves. So even if this guy knows nothing, right? So the same thing. He said these people were excited. They believed he had the superpower to start it, but it was a remote start. Let's see what the African Fang is saying here. Jealousy at its best, because Afridamus's country is an S-hole where people are asking for automatic citizenship. No. If people are asking for automatic citizenship in my country, that means my country is not an S-hole country, because that means they love the country. They see that, there's freedom of speech. This is why you're not going to see any black person go to Equatorial Guinea and make videos. At least, yeah, fine, you could say Gambia, yes, it's poor, whatever. But when it comes to human interaction, respecting people's right, we are free. This is why you're seeing, black people that go there, they fall in love with it, because you could argue with a Gambian person, they could get in a fight. I mean, you've seen it, even seen videos of the Africans. They are so free. They go to the Gambian stores, bullying, the store, the frozen chickens. Nothing is going to happen. It's a free society. We are excited about that. But you deprive the people of the resources that belongs to all of them. You make it your own. Not only did you take from them physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, you also don't allow them to speak. Exactly. In the Gambia, we have Karens of Casa Kunda. We have frozen chicken Karens. Yeah, like they are free to do this. But not Equatorial Guinea. I want to hear people's solution. What should we do to free the minds of the people of Equatorial Guinea? What can we do to help this poor country, pull them out of the clutches of these vampires that are sucking the blood of their own people? If you truly believe in Pan-Africanism, you should spread this message. You should make sure this message reaches every sane mind, every human being that has blood running in their veins. When you hear this, when you hear the thing that is happening in these countries, you should feel sorry for the people. Seriously. Because now we're seeing a person amongst us here saying these videos are from white people. But the videos talking points that you hear about African Americans that you say, you have no problem accepting those. Do you guys see what is happening here? This is the spell we need to break when people start spreading delusion while the rest of their countrymen and women are suffering. In these videos, what part of anything did you hear that shows that the poor citizens of Equatorial Guinea are benefiting from the massive oil revenue that is coming into their country? Name one part of the video where you've seen that. None of it. So it will be hard for me to respect anyone that wants to support this. Anyone that wants to support this. You are either delusional, crazy, heartless, or a shameless person. That's all it has to be. Because here, if we truly love one another, like I said, let's see. African fan, let's see. We are not suffering. I get it. African fan, you are upset. But this isn't about you. Welcome in the house, Sizzle. This isn't about you. This is about what is going on. When the country's resource, the money that belongs to the entire nation, is being siphoned, just like Audrey said, by one family, it will be hard for me to respect your viewpoints, African Fang, for you to come here and start spreading this misinformation. Look, it is one thing to say whatever to black people in America. But you know one thing with black people, I'm telling you, most of the time, black people, they live in so free, they had to make up these stories, okay? But these stories that I'm saying about Equatorial Guinea, these are not made up stories, okay? These are real. The people are suffering. Yes, I know your ego will not let you accept this. But in this church here, you guys know, the Pan-Africanist church, we do not hide or hold back. We have to bring the truth to the forefront. We have been seeing so many videos where even today, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you an example. Can you guys imagine? Even the Pan-Africanists that go to Africa, to the peaceful places like Gambia, where the people are loving and welcoming, where even some of the people become Karens and make fun of them. But still, when they see it, they say, oh, we want to help these people. They feel so bad. Ladies and gentlemen, now think about Equatorial Guinea. Think about like Gambia, the people are free. But at this other place, the people are not even free. You are not even free to be a Karen over there. Imagine that. Then a citizen of that country tells you, oh no, our people are not suffering. If you really think you feel sorry for the other people you see, look into Equatorial Guinea. Yes, they are definitely blessed with lots of oil, which brings wealth. This is true. This is true. But it doesn't reach the people. Exactly, Supergirl. The facts speaks for themselves. I don't understand how any one person can argue against this. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Fang is free to hold on to her delusional opinion. But those of you that are here that do not want to deceive your own quote unquote lying eyes, because she's saying, hey, You know what, guys, man, forget what your eyes, what you're seeing. Forget what this guy is saying. Because you guys remember yesterday, in yesterday's show, there was no shortage of things Fang was Googling. So that means she believes in the white man's technology and the information that's there. Okay? That's there. So let's not fixate and try to twist this story and make it seem like, oh no, it is just the enemies of that country. The country only ever had one free election, like I said. And the person that won turned out to be a sociopathic, murderous dictator. He got replaced, and the Equatorial Guinea people from the frying pan into the fire. From the frying pan into the fire. That's what's going on in that little territory where the people cannot even go to the hospital because they are going to die. It's literally saying, hey, you know what? I'm going over there. Or I'm going to go meet Dr. Mangolin. You might as well just be going there to see Dr. Mangolin because the doctors are unqualified. The doctors can barely read. This is why, the dictator and his immediate family members, they go to Western nations to receive their treatment. And in that country, those of you that talk about opening business there, give it a shot and see how you're going to sell it. The people are not free. This is, Feng, you don't have to write in the chat. Just come on up and tell us, what we're missing here. That's all we want to know. And I know you're seeing this as an attack, but that country is bigger than you. Freaking diaspora, she's trying to convert. That country is bigger than you. You are not the only citizen of that country. We've already seen the video of your fellow countrymen who's fighting against the wickedness that is happening in that country. Equatorial Guinea is the recipient of $2 billion in infrastructure funding. Look, okay, I've seen, so sometimes when people talk about, oh, China is taking over in Africa, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you guys how the trade even works. Okay, for example, since we're talking about Equatorial Guinea, China is not giving them aid. Let me explain this. So they have oil. They have other resources. China needs those, just like in the other African countries. So when you trade with African countries like the Chinese, it's like a one-way street trade. So the Chinese are buying from, let's say, Equatorial Guinea. So they have a bunch of money. The Chinese know this. They know that they have a whole lot of money. But now they have to figure out a way to get that money back, to get that money. Because countries, they trade with each other. But with Africa, it's difficult because you can only get the raw material. They are not producing it, making products out of it. So the only way the Chinese can get that money is to propose infrastructure building for them. Because now they already know the government, they have this. So that's where they come in at. It sounds like a loan, but the Chinese know how much money these territories are receiving. So the only way to do fair trade with the African countries, since the Africans themselves are not building the infrastructure, so the Chinese are like, hey, we'll build it, you pay us. So that's how it becomes fair trade. So in Equatorial Guinea, they know that it's a North Korean style dictatorship. And one thing with the Chinese, they are very dynamic. They are not like the Europeans. When they come to Africa or other places, they try to change the culture, try to change their government. The Chinese don't care. They are not into that. All they care about is, look, we are here for these resources. They are there for the objective. So for people that say, oh, the Chinese, they want to control you, they don't care about controlling you. They are there for the resources, and that's that. If in your country, every day you are executing people in stadiums, they don't care. Think about it. China, the Chinese Communist Party, which goes around the world, is different from the people of China. That's what you have to remember. This Communist Party trades with North Korea, which have the same type of, platform as the Equatorial Guinea. Plain and simple. So when Feng is saying these things, I don't blame her. She has to put this front up, because it's like a North Korean style. You come out, you start talking against the dictator, your family can pay the price. So I don't blame her. I don't blame her. She has to pretend to love the dictator. It doesn't matter what they do, steal, plunder. I mean, she's crazy, but she ain't that crazy. Okay? If you go to other, for instance, even in Gambia, when Gambia had Yaya Jammeh there, complete fear. Very few people would speak. And there are people who, if you speak, their family, they pay a price. So these dictatorships, that's what happened in these places. So, you would see people, they would come, they would praise the dictator. They would even say, I'm related to the dictator. But you guys see the dictator, their circle. These people got Batmobiles. Okay? They got strippers. They got their own private rappers, bowling alley. I mean, you name it. They have mansions, chateaus. These guys, they are like the gods of the people over in those countries. So how can you blame one of their citizens to deflect, to deflect, or to come and say, how dare you speak about my country? You have to act patriotic. Seriously, you have to act patriotic. This is no joke. This is like the North Korean style dictatorship. It's almost like the dictator has spell over the people's mind. He can control your mind from afar with fear. Audrey, maybe Fang used to work in Obiang's palace. I mean, something. But you look at places where dictators are. I mean, read about North Korea. Do you know North Korea, if you escape North Korea, for instance, I mean, Equatorial Guinea, then, I mean, they no longer do that. The people, they don't have to do that anymore. They have some leeway when it comes to that. But I'm telling you right now, if you escape in North Korea, you're a citizen, because you're not allowed to leave. If you escape, they will execute your family. They would sentence all of them to the work camp. They call it concentration camp. North Korea is no joke. So think about Equatorial Guinea being in such a regime. Exactly. Because the reality is you have to worship the people that are in charge. It's no such thing as you come, they say we vote, whatever, even allowed rigging to happen. No. Like in North Korea, the first one was Kim Il Sung. That's the father, who fought the Korean War, when the North and the South fought in the 1950s, when the United States, came and helped the South. But even that war, they still haven't signed a peace treaty. You guys know that, right? Between those two borders is the most militarized zone in the world, the most militarized zone. So these people, they have total, complete control over their people. Started with the grandfather, Kim Il Sung, came down to Kim Jong Un, and now the one over there, fat little guy. So transferred to him. So the same thing in Equatorial Guinea, but it's not like the father this time. It is the psychopathic uncle who eventually lose the power to his nephew. Not through elections, by the way, since 1979. And still, there has never been an election. So the son is the vice president. He is in line to become president. The one that you guys saw, the Instagram, Playboy. Yes, that guy. The guy on the Batmobile, him. He is in line to become president. So he's not even president yet. All this stuff is happening. He's doing this. Imagine when he becomes the most powerful man in the country. Imagine what will happen. Yeah, Matifi, you're absolutely right. I get it. Fang want to be upset in the comment section. I don't even think she understands the magnitude of this. You see? I don't think she even understands what we are saying here, the magnitude. So to try to bring your own personal ego into this is rather silly. It's ridiculous. As you guys notice, I don't look. When it comes to speaking facts, the truth, if you want to feel like, oh, I'm good with Afridamus, it's going to be based in truth. We are not here to just kumbaya, yeah, like she says it herself. And when you speak of a territory, you're not speaking about one individual. The people in that country are victims. These people are controlled by evil maniacs, psychopaths. So we cannot hide that. We cannot hide these things. Knowing the former dictator we had, the megalomaniac, another crazy guy, who, by the way, appointed himself a witch doctor. For some reason, all these dictators, if you notice, they all have one thing in common. They like appointing themselves as doctors. So Jammeh, that's in Equatorial Guinea right now, he did the same thing, saying that he found the cure of AIDS. So he's curing people's AIDS, mind you, with peanut and banana. Yeah, Jammeh discovered the cure. Fine. But this is in your body, but he's rubbing on your skin. But mind you, these same guys, right? When they get sick, how come they don't use their own black spiritual thing? because they know they are full of it. Other dictator, even back in the days in Haiti, they have somebody called Papa Doc, this Duvalier, the same thing. He used witchcraft to the same thing to control the people's mind. And it is done brutally. So those of you that think, oh, black excellence, black is this, melanin is this, please, people, you're fooling yourself. It is the spirit. And the spirit of evil is over that country. It's over that country. Let's help sensitize the people, make them aware of what is going on in one of our neighbors' country, so that we can help free the poor people of Equatorial Guinea from the clutches of these evil people that have refused to allow them to be themselves, to allow the people to grow, to be able to realize their potentials. They are not allowing that. Because if you look at it in the Equatorial Guinea, only one person is allowed to be a star. And that is the Obiangs. Look, I'll tell you something. At one point, a long time ago, all these dictators, I'm telling you, they do this. I remember in Gambia, yeah, Jammeh was the first person that came. He brought TV there, the TV station. But in this TV station, the programs are mostly about him or preaching. They show other shows, but mostly he's the center of everything. And people praise these people. You look at even Gaddafi, people talk about him. But did you know when Gaddafi was in Libya, he's the only one who, that's the star. He's a writer. He's everything. You have to write good things about him. So what kind of utopia is that? So people are just being delusional. Let's see. Fang said, he's not killing me, but me to know you all have an opinion about things. Oh, God. So Fang was writing things, over here. We have given her the opportunity to come up and tell us about, this great president of hers. So she can come here and tell us about all the great things they are doing. I'm not talking about Instagram or buying mansions in France while the people can't even have clean drinking water. Please come here and defend this action. Come here and defend this very action. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you guys know Fang has opinion on everything. Don't you guys think this would have been a great topic for her to come in and add her 2 cents to this? But she cannot do that, because if Fang does that, she cannot go visit Equatorial Guinea. If she comes here and deviates from the script, she won't be able to visit Equatorial Guinea. So we won't even listen to what she's saying. She says she's not frightened, but you're triggered by what is said here. You don't care about the poor people of that country. Of course, it's easy to sit in the Western world and say, oh, no, our people are living good. But we are looking at the people, the regular people, how they are living. Yes, she said, oh, Gambia, you people are poor, but at least in Gambia, it's not a death sentence to go to the hospital. Some people died there, but we are not known for that. You see? But this is not about Gambia. This is not about Gambia. This is about what is going on around in Africa. When you guys even hear Congo, you say, oh, in Congo, they have all this wealth, these natural resources. The white people are stealing it. Is that what you truly believe? No. The same thing happening in Equatorial Guinea. That's what's happening in Congo. Yes, they talked about Gabon. At least Gabon is better. Because here in America, if you meet Gabonese, like their government pays for them to, receive education and go back. But the same standard in Gabon too, the guy is being in power forever. It's a family affair. One family rules over everyone else. It's a controlling situation. So this is why when people say Pan-Africanism, it's not going to work, because these are some of the biggest obstacles in it. Because how can you talk to crazy, brutal dictators about Pan-Africanism? What you're going to tell the vice president, oh no, stop hanging out with blonde white women. Stop having strippers around. Stop riding on your Batmobile. You can't say that. And he's not supposed to do that. A country needs serious visionaries, people that have vision, so they can take their people to the next level. This is the most hindrance that African countries face. This is the roadblock that African countries face. It's just a bit worse in Equatorial Guinea for some reason. It's just, for some reason they would rather blow the money on useless things that they could use, that could take their country to a whole new level, develop the country to benefit, the entire population. But the sad thing is, if somebody is here defending actions that would never ever help their country, their fellow countrymen, enter the 21st century, just like everyone else. So when you hear first world, second world, third world country, yes, the devil's hand is in the detail, but I just showed you the devils of Equatorial Guinea. I just showed you the devils who are manipulating the lives of the people there. The people that are sucking the blood of the innocent in that country. Because that's what it is. When somebody stifles your thinking and puts you in a precarious economic condition, instead of helping you, free your mind. Because if you are able to conquer certain obstacles, certain basic needs of life, such as a constant, stable electricity, 24/7, good water supply, just like we have here in the United States. There's no reason for these people not to have that. In fact, they have enough money. I'm telling you, they have enough money to even pay foreigners to build the country, which is what they are doing. They could build great hospital and even hire a few foreigners or send their citizens to go learn as doctors and come back and develop the country. They could do that. But as you guys know, you guys have seen the vice president who is in line to take over. Do you guys think that guy has the mental acumen to even think about the things that I just mentioned here. You see? Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing on the screen? This is what I'm talking about. Yes, when you go to these countries, yeah, you're going to find some nice buildings. They do have some nice buildings, nice roads, but I'm talking about the majority. How is the majority living? Yeah. Hey, trust me, even in America, you're going to find poverty in America. But we're talking about the despair, what is the, like, how many people are in poverty? You see what I'm saying? Right. You're not going to come to, like, let's say America in one state where the entire area, everyone is so poor, destitute, they don't have basic needs of life. No, you're not going to see a vast area. So that's the type I'm talking about. Because of the wealth they have, they could easily prevent that. Easily. They don't have that many people in their population. They don't have that many people. They could literally give free checks to them without even working. But they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Brother, I don't always agree with everything you say, but truth will set you free. That's right. If you're willing to accept it and you do make it very true. Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. People don't have to always agree with me. You see? But the thing is it true? Audrey said, Afridamus, you have some S-holes in America too. Yeah. Oh no, Audrey, that's the point I'm trying to make, to say, yes, you would find, places in America that, would blow your mind. But if you look at, like, the amount of money that small country has, if you compare their level of the amount of people in poverty, it's not, you cannot compare to even a huge country like America. See? So that's what I'm saying. Like, but they're not putting their money towards that. Oh yeah, trust me, Momodu. They even mentioned Cameroon, which, thank, also big ups. For some reason, she big ups the dictators of Africa. Let's see. Our movement said, come on. Majority of Gambians wouldn't speak out against Jammeh when he was in power, as they knew it could lead to a death sentence. Yeah, our movement, I think you missed the part where I said that. Yes, we all, yeah, I gave the example and I did mention that. So this is why I'm saying I get it. When people come and try, from African countries, they want to support a dictator. People, mind you, right? Ask yourself this. Why would you support somebody that is robbing you? Does that even make sense to you? If they are using the country's resources the way they are using it, do you think African fan would even be sitting here, complaining? No, she would be getting free checks, living her best life over in her country. Plain and simple. Because when you look into it, when they say the per capita, what she doesn't understand is, It doesn't mean that's what the people are receiving. It means if they could, if they do it the right way, that's what they, each citizen would be able to get every month. Mamadou Barry, I totally agree with you. And Gambia is a test case for removing dictators peacefully. And, we sure did that. We did it peacefully without firing any shots. Plain and simple. She said, Equatorial Guinea is like any African country. Yes, you're right about that. They are like a few other African countries, but many African countries are way more free than Equatorial Guinea. Even though to the level of African corruption, there's none of them that are to the level of the Obiangs. Because the Obiangs believe the country belonged to them, that is theirs. They are there, like they own it. It's a monarch, because they don't hold any election. The son is up to become the president next. There is no opposition standing next, to try to stop this. There's no opposition. So what would you call that? That's a monarch. And now you have one of their citizens here, defending this evil family that is sucking the blood of her own people. Plain and simple. But she doesn't get it. She doesn't get it. And this goes for, all African people that are watching. Let's not, just go with the hype. Not just African people, anyone that's watching. This is the reality. Not all that fake stuff that people hear about. This is the reality. Since people want to save these countries, this is what is going on in these countries. Oh, let's see. Oh, Diogo, you here? Hold on. I didn't even see you. Give me 1 second. Diego, are you still here? Hit the link again. Sorry. I didn't even catch you. I was really, really into it. But let me put the link again, and you can hit it. This time I'll bring you in. Let's see. People, ask yourself the question. Why would any sane person support such a thing? Why? It doesn't make any type of sense. What's the benefit? But I know someone who has experience with countries where dictatorship lives, being a citizen of one of them before, I understand the pattern. But their dictatorship was way worse than in Gambia. At least in Gambia, there used to be, with Jammeh, he still held elections and he campaigns. I believe he does genuinely win in the past. Exactly, Mamadou Barry. You're right about that. See, I'm realistic. I'm not gonna come here and pretend and say, oh yeah, when Jammeh was there, I can just say whatever. Yeah, I can, but there are people that I'm related to that live in the country. Of course, I'm not gonna, put their life at risk. You see? So, but that doesn't mean I will come on a platform and see somebody speaking facts about that, and then I start trying to defend it. No, I don't have to come and, add anything, but I would be very happy. And in the past, I would see it too when people are exposing, Jammeh's atrocities, his plundering. Yeah, I would watch it, and I even wrote articles under a pseudonym to add my voice onto it. But yes, you're right. If you do it out in the open, you will definitely face the wrath of a wicked man. I know when people, sometimes I see people, they would talk about African dictators and say, oh, those people are good people, they're Pan-Africanists. I get it. You have to remember, yes, they're going to come and talk smack against the white people because the white people are trying to tell them, hey, look, man, you got to help your people out. So they just don't go along. But in a way, if you look at it, these dictators, the white people still deal with them secretly because they have what they want. They're in charge of the country's resources. Because you guys know that even top US executives, they deal with this Obiang family. They even help them hide money. Look at Marabou said, when Bush father this is Bush Senior, got in power, Obiang was there, right? When he left, Obiang was still there. So with Bush son, Clinton, Obama, Trump, and now Biden, who will also leave, and Obiang will be there. Yes, the only way Obiang will not be there, Senior Obiang, is, when he kicks the bucket. You see? Exactly. Njeme, you remember those days. See, she can confirm it. Most people used pseudonyms when commenting about Jammeh. Exactly. But you guys see the African Fang, she's, for some reason, she's one of the supporters of this brutal dictator in her country. She's supporting this. But I don't know why. She's saying, look at this. There are a lot of opposition in my country, but you talk about, okay, people, check this out. You guys heard that what's the name? The president's son is in line to become president. So Feng is saying they have oppositions. Yeah, even in the first guys in Gamma's time, they had opposition, but he consolidated them and he's the leader. Obiang, that's there right now. If these oppositions are there, how come there isn't any elections to oust him? What is the purpose of being an opposition leader in a system where the son of the president is already slated to be the president? He's already the vice president, mind you. They control the army. They control all the money. They've been in power since 1979. Think about that. Nobody else was in power. So they have all the country's secret. They control everything 100%. 100%. Exactly, BR. When you control the entire economy for this long, you've stolen the entire country's money. Of course, you can buy everyone. You can buy everyone. So this is the news about Equatorial Guinea. if you must know, this is the situation. I hope one day, soon, the people there would wake up and demand real change, change their own luck. Hopefully, Fang would spread that to them. Maybe they would take a page from the Gambian book, how we grabbed our one-time egotistical, megalomaniac dictator, grabbed him by his white gown, fling him all the way to Equatorial Guinea. Maybe you guys can take a page from that and kick those dictators out. But it's going to be a problem, y'all. It's going to be a problem because this man was in charge. The family was in charge since 1979. So even if somebody else takes over, they remove them forcefully. Even if they remove them, what good is it going to be? The place is going to be chaotic for some time because they haven't been free. They haven't been free. Fang said, 1970, I was avoiding the bullets, running during night. And Fang, what's that got to do with anything? That's just, I mean, I don't think your messages would be making it up here. Yeah. Fang said back in 79, she was there dodging bullets and running all over. I mean, so Fang, you yourself said it. That means back in 1979, back then I wasn't born, but it sounds like you were around. I wasn't around then. And you were out there, running around. So this is why I wanted you to come, because you were present. I wasn't present. I wasn't in the world, so I had to go research it. So thank God they kept these archives. They kept the videos for us all to be able to gather here today and talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to do a second show later today. So I'm going to cut this one here so that I can do a second show with a topic that is going to surprise you. Okay? But thank you for coming to the Afridamus Report. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, because you see, the likes and subscriptions is what brings people in so that you can be alerted when I come online. As you know, the topics are vast, wide open. The discussion is extensive. So it's not about people's feelings or getting mad at people, but it is about opening people's mind to what is happening. So don't forget to go to my Instagram and subscribe to the Soninke Warrior. Go to the Facebook page, because I want to build the Facebook page on so we can have that as the community there, where we would be dropping discussions on what we want to talk about, because I want to have your input too. Your input. So as you can see, we don't go after people. We just go about what is happening. Feng enjoyed news about African Americans, but she did not enjoy this one. Another time, somebody else that enjoyed this one might not enjoy another topic, but that's what it's all about. So I'm going to leave you with this. Enjoy, live life. Happy Sunday.